This, my friends, is powdery mildew. The last couple of weeks we've had heat and we've had humidity, which is very unusual here in Western Washington. Heat and humidity are good things for many crops, especially corn. Heat and humidity also bring with it fungus. That's why we see here the powdery mildew beginning to develop here on our spaghetti squash. That's not unusual for spaghetti squash this time of year as they start to die back, but I don't want to have any more of these spores hanging around than I need to. So goal number one today is going to be fungicide. But first, I need to clear up some of these rows here. All right, so I'm a little bit cut off. Not really, but you can see these guys have been growing out here into the middle of the row. So there we go, much easier. Now I just got these to do. Easy. So here's a little something fun that happens to pumpkins and squashes when you leave them on the ground. And this isn't a bad thing. Squashes grow out nice little tendrils to grab onto things. When you leave them on the ground, those tendrils will bury themselves into the ground and they'll actually grow roots. See that there? So that's actually a good thing for the overall health of the plant. Unfortunately, when you're in a situation where your space is limited, you're growing these plants up a trellis, you got to make a sacrifice somewhere. Now, I let one of these vines get away. I actually don't know which direction it comes from. Aha. There we go. Gotta be careful. Now, another consequence of heavy rain is usually the loss of a lot of your nitrogen. It's been a while since I had side dressed, so I'm wagering most of my nitrogen and any other leachable nutrients have pretty much been washed out of the root system. So we're going to fix that right now. So one of the ways that farmers will fertilize their corn crops is called Y-drops. Basically, what that is a solution of fertilizer. Instead of being sprayed down on top of the crop, it's actually pumped into tubes that then will be dragged along the ground next to each stalk. So I try to do something a little fairly similar, only I use this thing. So you just take your sprayer tip and you take it off, and that just gives you a stream of solution. Yep. And you just drop it right around your plant there. So I'm out here looking at the corn. I see a silk seemingly growing out of a tassel. And I thought I was seeing things, but I'm not. There is an ear of corn trying to grow directly out of this tassel here. And another tassel right here that is trying to become an ear of corn. Look at all those aphids. For the stalk, they're all over the corn cob. Luckily, I don't see them anywhere else, but man, that's gross. I can only hope that I got them, at least most of them, with my spray. I wasn't quite down inside of there when I was spraying, but it feels like they're pretty wet, so I think I got them. I hate aphids. Hate. With an extreme hatred. So once the corn is tasseled and you've got your ears set on the corn, that's a really important time for the corn to be taking up nutrients like nitrogen and potassium. And so it's really important to make sure that those nutrients are available to the plant. One of the things I'm kind of shooting for is to see if I can do what some high yield growers can do, and that is to actually dry down the corn without it denting. That sounds insane. All right, it's the next day. Actually, it's 2 days later. I've got the true city slicker gardener look going on. Work pants and garden boots. The wannabe farm, always on the cutting edge of fashion. My son had his 11th birthday yesterday. We went to Red Robin and supported our nation's cattle ranchers. There were a couple of things I was going to get to, and I don't remember what they are. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. Well, I think I should do some weed control today. Got another bindweed there, and there's a big old patch come back here. This is really hard one-handed. This is what you call first world YouTuber problems. This one has gotten big. Alright, just make sure that I don't hit the corn plant that I want. Just pluck off some of those. Just pluck off a lower leaf there to get it out of the way. And then gently. Alright, ran out. I'll have to go get some more. Maybe hit it later this week. So these onions have gotten pretty wet since I pulled them up. That thunderstorm was not predicted. So standard practice is to pull the onions up and let them sit on the ground for several days. I think it wants to be almost a week or so. I would presume that's under normal conditions. We have not gotten normal conditions at all this summer. So this weekend, I'm gonna just put them, no matter what, I'm gonna put them on the drying rack. And I just remembered what else I was supposed to do. We've got a lot of things to harvest today. It means it's time to strap on the harvester. Hey, the YouTube magic works. This episode is not brought to you by our friends at Haas Tools. However, I wouldn't mind if it was. So this thing looks pretty funny, I get that. But combine this with these pole beans that we can stand up and harvest, and it makes harvesting anything a lot easier. When I don't have to constantly be bending down to either pick stuff like I would with bush beans, or bend down and put them in the bucket. All right, not bad for 15 minutes of picking. And we've got some tomatoes that are ready to go. Decent tomato harvest. We've got our cherry tomatoes, we've got our paste tomatoes, and we got a couple of slicing tomatoes. Too bad we ate burgers yesterday. I think our zucchini might have another day.